One Percenter Podcast with Sam Bakhtiar, bringing you the 1% knowledge to help you reach your full potential. Learn what it takes to rise above the 99% and become a 1%er.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Sam Bakhtiar, your host of the 1% Podcast. I got my main man, my personal friend, none other than Mr. Ejay Cruz in the house. What's up, brother?
Dude, I appreciate you having me.
Of course,
on the
man.
1% podcast, man. This is beautiful, man.
You know, it was funny, man. We were just talking off camera how not long ago, you know, you reached out to me and I didn't really know who you were, and then I came to your podcast, The Parables.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And now, it's, I don't know, 6 months, 8 months later, you're here on my podcast. Isn't that crazy?
It is, man. It's I feel truly blessed. It's insane seeing this podcast come to light. And as you know, as we were talking about the stuff that the podcast platform has been able to do for both of us, it speaks on that. So I appreciate you having me on here, man.
I know, and it's funny because in such a short, 6 to 8 months we've known each other, we became really good friends.
Yes.
And what I really love and appreciate about you, and I was telling my staff, is that you are one of the greatest connectors that I know. You really are. We were talking about you yesterday as we were putting your bios together, all the pictures together, getting ready for you to be a guest on our show. Mm-hmm. And they were like, okay, EJ, and I'm like, yeah, dude, this guy, he's connected me with so many other people, and you're just a great giver. I mean, that's what I've noticed about you. And I know God is going to bless you so much more because you come out of a place of giving. Because a lot of times, so many people are just like, okay, well, what can I get out of this guy? And that's what I usually get. That's what I'm used to. But you came out of, hey, man, what can I do for you?
Yeah.
And, and I know that God is going to bless you because the more I've given, the more I got. And I know you know that already.
Yeah. You know what? I think I used to be like that before. I think everyone's like that, where we live in a society where we're like, hey, I need something back in return if I first put out, favors or just anything. You expect something in return. And I quickly learned, in my nursing career and podcasting and all that you can't function that way. You can't operate that way. Mm-hmm. Life doesn't work that way. Sometimes you got to give first and expect nothing in return.
I've learned, the way the law of the universe works is that you give, you will get 10 times back, but it might not be from the same person.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's not the same person. If you're giving to a person and you're expecting back from a person, that's the wrong way of looking. Just give and know that God will bless you. Yeah. And I've given so many times, and next thing you know, God's blessing me otherwise. And when back in the day I was in that mentality, like I said, we all were. I'm gonna give something. What is this person gonna do for me?
Yeah.
And that's so bad. That's so bad. That's like the biggest way to unhappiness.
Definitely. I think you begin to have unrealistic expectations of getting things in return, and what's going to happen is you're just going to be let down by yourself, ultimately yourself. And sometimes those rewards don't always come right away. And I'm not going to lie, I have to remind myself too that I have to be patient. But I think down the road, like you said, the law, the universe works in mysterious ways, and it's amazing. Like we had a conversation when we were at the gym, and you said something that really stuck with me, Sam. You said, I've been so blessed to be surrounded by good people, and it's not always been like that, and I feel the same exact way. I've attracted a lot of good people in my life. I had my share of bad people, but the sooner I started to hold on to good people, you see the rewards come. And and just like you, I appreciate you so much because you came onto my podcast, and we kind of been inseparable since. Like I know I don't see you every day.
Oh, we're one of those buddies that I don't have to talk to you every day or see you every day, but I know that I can also call you at midnight and you'll be there for me. And that to me is worth so much more than having 100 friends or 200 friends or 1,000 friends that I can't count on. Yeah. And at this stage of my life, I'd rather have 1 or 2 friends that I can count on no matter what than having 1,000 friends and I don't know where I stand with.
Yeah.
And that's where I am at life. If I have to wonder where I stand with you, I don't want to be in that kind of relationship.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and that's what I appreciate about you, brother. I really do.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, I think, there's people out there that you could pick up where you just left off, like we don't see each other. And we just have this mutual understanding and respect of one another. And to get that respect from you, to someone I look up to, it says a lot about about me and also who I surround myself with. And I feel very blessed, like I said, man. So.
Well, I appreciate you being on the show. I already knew a little bit about your story, but I dug a little deeper.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your story real quick. And we're going to talk about the parables. But by the way, congratulations, man! Like 30 plus countries, top 10 on the iTunes. You hit it a couple of times, right? Are you still there? You fluctuated, but I mean that's amazing. I mean that's a huge platform, and you've been having some amazing guests scheduled, man. So first, congratulations on that. But let's talk about your upbringing. Let's talk about how you have an amazing career, but it's not really fulfilling you and what you're doing about that. So tell me, you're from what I understand, you were just born in Corona, right? And you had amazing parents. Yeah. God, man, you're pretty much the opposite of me. I didn't have a dad. I didn't have a mom to talk about. I had a real rough upbringing. Yeah. So you had everything going for you. So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So I actually was born in Bellflower. And just to keep it short, my parents, they immigrated from the Philippines. They worked their tails off, very blessed. In fact, they worked so hard that when I was born, they sent me back to the Philippines with my grandparents so they could work, you know what I mean, and establish themselves.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So one of the stories my mom tells me is, I was there for a year. And then when I came back to the U.S., like we had that detachment relationship. Like I kind of didn't recognize her. She tells me that story all the time. And she tells me, of course she did that because they were just not quite there yet. I guess financially they weren't where they wanted to be to raise two kids because I have an older sister. So I was born in Bellflower, went to the Philippines, came back, and then eventually.
Okay, let me stop you for a second.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were born in Bellflower. And then they send you to the Philippines. How old were you when you were in the Philippines? How old were you when they sent you?
I celebrated my first birthday there.
So were you 3 months old, 6 months old, or?
No, I think a couple months after. Then maybe 3-4 months, and then I went there. I remember my first birthday was in the Philippines, and then eventually, I think a couple months after, before I was 2 years old, I came back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm shocked because you know how hard that must have been for your parents.
Absolutely.
You know how hard for you a newborn to say, hey, look, we're not ready for you. We're going to work our asses off. So for now, we're going to send you somewhere better to take care of you. So who'd you stay with?
I stay with my grandparents.
Grandparents.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm a mama's boy. I'm the only son. So I can only imagine how hard it was for my mom.
Yeah.
But she always tells me, when I came back, she was crying in tears, and it was just hard because, I kind of as a child, I reacted as if I didn't know her.
Well, I mean, dude,
being away for so long
would break me.
Yeah, being away for so long,
that
know
would
what I mean?
break me.
Yeah,
As a dad, if my child went away and they didn't recognize me, that would break me. And I know she broke down, man.
Yeah. But we eventually came back, and we stayed around the Long Beach area until about the age of 6, and we moved to Corona. We got our place there. And I've been in the Inland Empire since then. Kind of jumping forward, but lived in Corona, and then in 2007, I lived in Eastville, which I know you're familiar with.
Yeah.
But growing up, really my parents worked their tails off. My mom, full-time registered nurse.
Most immigrants, when they come to the U.S., they see the opportunity.
Yeah, they got that edge.
Yeah, they have that. And I know straight, Filipinos, man, they have crazy work ethic.
Yeah.
I have. A bunch of Filipinos on my staff, man. Filipino, on staff. They're on it.
Yeah.
And I know when they come to this great, amazing country, they see an opportunity. They see a job opportunity. They're all over it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, definitely. And so my mom worked as a registered nurse, and then my dad. So she worked almost 40 to 50 hours a week, and my dad worked night shift full time at the United States Postal Service. So growing up, clearly. I'm very blessed. Like I said, my mom would always tell me, I want to give you things that we didn't have back then in the Philippines. She'd always tell me stories of how between her and all her siblings, they'd have to share one fish. Yeah. You know what I mean? And, growing up, like I said, very blessed. My mom was more empathetic. She always wanted to give me the things that she never had. My dad was very loving too, but he kind of was more the strict one.
Well, I think the dads are that way.
Yeah.
I know when my daughter was born, when she wasn't listening to her mom, and all she had to do, I'll tell your dad, and she's like, oh, like, and it's so funny because I remember she be saying something like, hey, Bailey, do this, and she wouldn't do it, and I just come in and say, Bailey, do it, and I've never like hit her or nothing like that, but just that male voice, the dominance, I think children respond to, and I think there should always be one person that's kind of the disciplinarian. In it. So tell me about your dad. So he worked at Postal Service.
Yeah, so he worked night shift, and he's always been strict. Like, we've had a good relationship, but he was always very, very strict, very disciplinary, like you said. And it's crazy because when I look back and think about it, Sam, like, I had both sides of that. Like, I had the very loving mother, I had the loving father, but very, very strict. Like, I'd be afraid of doing bad things because I know I'd be disciplined. Like, dude, back then, like, it's not like what it is today. Like, I'd get the belt, Sam, like, and I appreciate it because, while I was very humble and I got the things that other kids didn't have, like, having that disciplinary side, I see now where kind of my work ethic is. Like, I know I could rely on my parents back then, but the fact that my dad really instilled me, like, dude, no, you got to work hard. My mom would too. You got to work hard for what you want. We can't just be giving you these things. I look back and I'm like, man, I'm so glad I had both those sides. Yes. Because a lot of kids, a lot of people nowadays, they're kind of spoon-fed and they don't know where to go if they hit rock bottom, right?
None. I mean, there's that all around us right now.
Yeah,
there's
absolutely.
that all around us, man. And it's funny, with children, and I think they do more than they do what they see. And it's funny, my little daughter, Haley, she's 5. Yeah. And the other day, out of nowhere, EJ, she comes up to me and goes, Daddy, we need to make some money. So here's what we need to do. We need to open up a camp or a lemonade stand, and we need to make some money. I'm like, how do you make money? I say, he said, we buy stuff and we sell it. I'm like, how is that? We buy low and we sell high. And I'm going like, what? I'm like, she must have heard me conversate about that somewhere 6-8 months ago or something like that. Yeah. And she just repeats it in her subconscious, man. Yeah. So you got that work ethic just in your subconscious from looking at your mom, looking at your dad. Plus, your dad was like, hey, man, nothing's going to be given to you. You got to go take it.
Yeah, I recall something that's always stuck with me because, again, my dad was pretty hard on me. And I'll share this story. It's pretty personal. I was never the most talented, gifted, athletic person, right? Clearly. And I remember playing basketball. I was huge on basketball back then, my teenager years and stuff, and being in the league. And I remember my dad, when we would lose, he would actually be in the car and say, why can't you be like that kid who's making all the shots? Why can't you do this? And him and my mom would butt heads. Damn. But, it was hard. And back then I hated it. I hated him for doing that because that would tear me apart. But I see now what he was trying to do. He was trying to tell me hey, EJ, look, I'm not trying to compare and say you're not. I'm trying to tell you it's attainable, just like what we spoke about earlier. Yeah. The things that if you work hard, you could attain these things. And I didn't see that until when you start growing up, you start to realize why your parents taught these certain methods. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's just insane. Now, I said, I'm just glad I'm able to see both sides because I see people struggle because they never had that discipline, that order, that structure in their lives, and I know that's been a huge part of my life, moving into my nursing career and everything.
And it's an advantage.
Yeah,
it's definitely put you in an advantage.
Yeah, absolutely.
To be able to do that. All right. So you are there's a part of your bio that says that you were, I don't know what major you wanted to go to, but you were going to another major, and then you wanted to use Honda Civic or something like that, right? You know what I mean? Yeah. And then your mom says, okay, I'll buy you to use Honda Civic, but you have to change your major to nursing. Yeah. And it's funny, real quick, side note, not to be, I don't want anybody to think I'm racist, but Filipinos, man, nursing is their main, occupation of that country, man. Yeah. You know what I mean? I haven't gone to a hospital where 80% of the nurses are, Filipinos. Yeah. It's crazy, right?
Yeah. So it's funny because, the comedian Joe Coy, he says every time there's a Manny Pacquiao fight, the boxer, expect like a huge call off. Shortstop, at the hospital.
So true.
Yeah,
so true.
Everyone will call off, but I don't take away anything from my nursing career. So this is the story, and it is pretty. Like I always look back, I'm like, man, thank God my mom did that. But back then I didn't know what I wanted to do. I thought I wanted to be an engineer. So I was gearing towards that way. I was into cars. And looking at I was so involved with school, Sam, like in high school. Like I was very involved, like associate student body, basketball, you name it, extracurricular activities. I was involved. I think I got to the point where my parents got sick of driving me to school because I was so involved with school, which they didn't mind because I wasn't into drugs, I wasn't into all that bad stuff. And my mom was like, listen, we're gonna get you your car you want. And it used Honda Prelude, nothing like a brand new car or anything, and she said, look, we'll buy you this car, but in return, you need to change your focus, your major into nursing. And I thought to myself, just the kid in me, like, all right, sure, why not? I want the car. That's all I wanted. I wanted to be like, back then in high school, I had the car crew and everything, thought I was cool. And,
by the way, I can totally see you like in the Fast and the Furious movie, man. I can tell you, you like fit right in that culture, your whole look, your outfit, everything. Yeah. I can just see it, man. I can see it.
Yeah, and I got the car, and little did I know, dude, that would change my life because my mom molded me kind of to become a nurse, to a registered nurse. And like you said, there's a lot of Filipinos who are nurses, and I don't take away anything from that career. Going into the field.
That's a beautiful career. That's the career that most people will die for.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm glad you bring that up. But, I got into that career, but I got to tell you, Sam, like, I came from no medical background whatsoever. So I struggled. I did not know what I got myself into.
You didn't know. You don't even know what skin was.
No, yeah.
Where's your skin? I don't know.
Just talking about it, all these memories start coming up. But I will tell you, I struggled because, during that was my college years now, right? I already took all my prerequisites and I got into the program. And, I was huge at that time. I was at my biggest. I was like 270 pounds.
So what? You were 270?
Yeah. It's like 270. God. I think I was pre-diabetic. But I went in there and I had no medical background. So like some people they started off as vocational nurses, as nurses' aides. Some people actually take medical terminology. I didn't do any of that. So when I went in there, I want you to picture this, just a bigger version of me, of course, spiky hair, young kid, lots of acne. And, I'm in there, one of the few males, right? Because it's a female-dominant profession. And, dude, I got eaten up. I got eaten up by my professors. I struggled. In fact, it's a 2-year nursing program. I was on academic probation, I think, all semesters. I struggled, Sam. Like, I ain't gonna lie, this grown man, like I cried in one of my clinicals. That's how hard it was.
Bet you made it through and you got your degree.
Yeah.
And here's what I always tell people, I'm not here to say college is good or bad. That's not anything.
Yeah.
What I'm saying here is that you're persistent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And, somebody, I don't know who said this. He said, nobody cares if you got your degree in 2 years or 5 years.
Yes, yeah.
True. As long as you got the credentials,
Yeah.
You got the credentials. So you went and got the credentials. You have a career in nursing and you have a pretty good career right now in nursing.
Yeah.
You make very good income.
Yes.
You have great benefits and all the stuff that goes with a dream job.
Yes.
But however, you're not fulfilled.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to talk about today the most. That's what I want to dig into, because there's a lot of people out there. I see it more and more and more, where a lot of people out there that have just great careers making 6 figures plus.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they just like, look, that's not for me. That's not what I want to do.
Yeah.
Where most other people were like, man, I will die to have your job. I will die to have your career. And you're sitting here, in front of me with that kind of, with that, and you're in nurse management now, right? You're manager. You're even. That's a great career,
Yeah.
And you go up like, man, that's not what I want to do.
Yeah.
So tell me about that, and how do you feel inside, and what do you want to do?
So it's crazy because when people ask what I'm trying to do, because a lot of people see, like, obviously my passion is definitely in other places, right? I always tell myself, like, man, people would kill to be in my position, because they would, especially the hospital I work at. People, it's a high-paying hospital, and they want to get in, and it's hard, I was fortunate enough to get into that hospital right off graduation. So I was very fortunate. And like you said, just to sum it up, 10 years, almost a decade in the nursing profession, and I got into management recently about 2.5 years ago. And you know what, just going back to it, Sam, it's just, my mom molded me. And I don't, she basically bribed me, right?
Yeah, bribed you to
get my Honda Prelude.
I forgot about Prelude, man. Those are bomb ass cars, man.
Yeah, the heavy Civic, that's what they called it, yeah. And you know what, it's, she molded me into, and I don't take away nothing from my career. Like I said, like we spoke about it, I bought my first house when I was like 24 years old. I was living, I had my first, I had my place, I had sports cars, you name it. I had a great career making over six figures, or making six figures. And it's just never been my passion. But, in my nursing career, I want to put it out there, like, just because it wasn't my passion doesn't mean I wasn't good at what I did. No, I knew I was good at it.
Hey, one thing I know about you, you're good at it, and you do the best every time you show up.
Yeah.
One thing I've known about you, you show up, and I know that you go to work every day, give it 100%. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And that's what I've known and loved about you. No matter what, you're there at 100%. You don't give nothing less than. I see it all over. I see it with everything you do. Mm-hmm. I think in life, the one way you do one thing is the way you do everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you always approach everything at 100%. And I know you've done it with the same career.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that. Yeah, and so as a nurse, right, it's very it requires a lot of critical thinking and a lot of skills, like hands-on skills, right? Obviously, like I said, I'm not the most talented, I'm not the most skilled, but I know I use my personality in my nursing practice.
Which we need, because there's so many nurses with no personality and nothing. Yeah. Man. I mean, look, my wife is pregnant, as you know, right now.
Yeah.
Every time, sometimes we go to the hospital, and even with doctors, man, I'm going like, oh my God. They're like, where is the bedside manner?
Yeah. Where's the people skills?
Yeah, where's the people skills? There's like none.
Yeah.
None. I mean, I can sit down here and tell you horror stories.
Yeah.
And I'm going like this, and then I'm like, wow. And it's so funny because, same thing with me. My mom said, become a doctor. I'm going to get my, degree, became a doctor. Mm-hmm. I never practiced a day in my life, opened up my gyms. It's crazy. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's just, people don't understand, like, I don't know what it is now, but I know the nursing profession has been like considered the most, trusted profession out there. So clearly, people's lives are at stake. People's lives are in my hands. So obviously you need to establish that rapport. Yeah. And I've always been that people person. Like, I always get along with people. I like to talk to people, get to know people. And I use that in my practice. Because think about it, Sam, right? And like you said, you go into a hospital, people are in pain. People are trying to heal. So I use my personality, because again, we're talking about like, this was never my passion, but I used my personality. I knew what I was good at and used in my practice, establishing that rapport, using humor, to spiritually heal my patients. And,
which, by the way, is so important, man. It's so important, man. I mean, if you go in there and you have this straight face and you're not giving the person a hope, you're not talking to them, you basically killing them already.
Yeah, there's a lot of patients that use narcotics for their pain. And, to go in there, be their healthcare provider and be able to talk with them, make them laugh, talk about them, we would avoid using those narcotics to help them with their pain because, it's that spiritual healing. Yeah. So I use that. And again, because nursing has never been my passion, but I used it to my advantage. Yeah. And then eventually I got into management, as you know, and, I started to see the ethical side, the political side. And I'm not here to talk down on hospitals or the nursing profession. Again, it's great. People would kill to be in the position, the health benefits, the pay. It's an amazing career. It's taught me a lot, especially when I got into management.
But that doesn't mean it can't improve.
Yeah. And so just to keep it short, Sam, I actually went back for my graduate degree. And I went to become a nurse practitioner. I was more than halfway done. And until this day, I know my mom's like, you should have finished. But, I finally told myself, like, you know what? I know I don't want to do this forever. Yeah. So because I got into management, I was like, let's just see how this, turns out. Did that. And I've always wanted something more. So just recently, within like the past 2 years, that's when I started really looking into self-development, the entrepreneurial space, reading books. And I started to, surround myself with people like yourself. And I had to ask myself, because I've always been a hustler all my life, Sam, in the means of How can I make money?
Yeah.
Like my buddy Chris is here. He knows like I sell sneakers. Back then I used to sell Pokemon cards, bubble gum, like the individual bubble gum just to come up like a quarter,
I love
2 quarters.
I love it.
You know, I even have an eBay store on the side. Like I always ask myself, how can I come up a few extra bucks? And I knew I couldn't approach it that way. I knew it's like, you know, what is it I'm good at? What am I good at? And how can I maybe turn that into a career? So I dissected what I was good at. I was like, okay, I think people like me. People are attracted to my personality. I think, you know, I love to talk to people. And the whole podcast platform came about. Sam, I came from a nursing background.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about audio engineering. I don't know anything about like production, you know, all that stuff, video production.
You put it together though. You took action. I came to your house, you know, came to your studio, and I mean, I was like, damn. I mean, you know, you told me you were a one-man show, and you did it. And I'm like, damn, that shit looked good.
Yeah.
You know, everything looked good. You know, so you know, you didn't wait for a perfect time. You didn't wait because you didn't have the skill. You didn't wait. Oh my God, man, everything. You know, stars have to line up. You're like, you know what? You just started it.
Yeah.
You know, and you just get a couple of cameras. You know, you got a couple of lights, and bam.
Yeah.
And your stuff is amazing. It's
I
amazing. I mean, look at how far you've gone. Yeah. Again, 30 plus countries, top 10 on iTunes. I mean, you got some heavy hitters on your podcast, man. I'm proud of you, bro. Because you're not, you know, you didn't, you know, aim, never shoot. You know, you shot and you aimed later. Yeah. You know what I mean? And you course correct, and that's what a lot of people do wrong these days because they were waiting for the perfect time, and you didn't wait for that. You just took action. Yeah.
You know, I want to put out there, and I know you know this. Like podcasting, it may seem easy because you just record and talk. Like there's a lot more to it, and as you know, and
you're a lot better than me, man. I got a whole crew. I know you want to mess with that, man.
I still don't know how I do it by myself, man.
And I appreciate you when I first wanted to start a podcast. At first, you know, so many people told me to start a podcast. I'm like, I don't have time for that crap.
Yeah.
You know, and then, you know, I was like, you know what? It's time now. It's time. I'm in a place in my career that I want to start a podcast. I want to tell my story. I want to interview. I want to make an impact.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, when I first came in and you came and, you know, you give me your pointers and set it up. Matter of fact, you bought stuff on your card, you know, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I think I'm like, yeah, you just took action and bought some stuff for me on your card, and I'm like, dude, thanks, man, let me pay you back. So I appreciate that. That's why I know you were a giver.
Yeah, dude. And it's just crazy because I'm not gonna lie. Like again, I had no idea what I was doing, but again, I started to take the steps to put myself in a position to. Because I got sick and tired, Sam, I got really comfortable with my career. Because I was making great money, and I was just like comfortable. So I started,
and that's the kiss of death.
Yes,
you know that, right?
Yes,
that's the kiss of death.
Inaction. Yeah, and not moving forward. And I found myself just not enthusiastic anymore, not like, you know, excited. Because I'm a very driven, high energetic guy. Like anything I get myself into, you will know if I'm passionate about it.
You were making money, but you weren't progressing. That's what made you, I think that's what makes you happy. You weren't progressing.
Yeah.
And I'm the same way, man. I mean, I think most humans should be the same. You know, I think most humans should be that way, but they're not. You know, for me, I tell people all the time, I go, I don't care about the cars and the mansions and all that kind of stuff. You know, I can be here, and if I get up and I'm not getting better than I was yesterday or last month, I'm pissed. My crew knows. My crew knows if we're not progressing, like I'm pissed off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But as long as we're progressing, as soon as I get up, you know, that's what I want. You know, in life, I want to be able to be better and move forward. And you weren't moving forward. You were having a great career, great life, great money, but you weren't moving forward.
Yeah.
And that's what I think was like the trigger. Like, you know what? I got to do something.
Yeah. And again, like I don't take away anything from the career. It's just I just knew my passion, my energy. Because listen, when you're a nurse, you're really making an impact on your community. Yeah. And I know just my higher calling is to impact at a higher scale, wider scale. You know, I feel like I could impact the world. Yeah. And I knew from the research I did, the podcast platform can do that. So, you know, I started researching, and you know, of course, bringing it all together, it's overwhelming, right? It's foreign territory. Again, I didn't come from that audio background, the videography, all that stuff. This is us. You know, we're different. Our podcast is different, right, Sam? We're a video cast. We're not just audio.
Yeah.
Bringing the video part of it's a whole different ballgame. You know. No. So anyway, like I said, and I got to thank I started to surround myself with like-minded people, the RTA group, and they held me accountable. They said, EJ, when are you going to launch this thing? They're like, I said, okay, I think October 2018. They're like, all right, I got to work. I was able to launch September. And dude, till this day, I still learn something new every time. Yeah. But since then, Sam, like you brought up, the reach has been over 36 countries. I've had a lot of downloads. I'm getting over 30 guests. And then I just, cracked the top 100 on iTunes in its category. And it's just been a wildfire since, Sam. It's just been amazing. Like you said, it's being able to sit down and chat with amazing individuals, sharing their impact, their influence. Like one side of me, I'm just like, I'm so amazed by what they're saying, but also at the same time, like, it's just crazy how the platform has been able to influence a lot of people. Like, I have people now, Sam, that are reaching out to me asking me for career advice. And I'm like, wow, like, I don't feel like I'm in that power yet, but just to know that the platform is, showing that influence is just insane. Like, my mission behind it has evolved now, Sam. Before it was like, okay, I think this is what I want to do. I think this is what I'm good at. And now that I know what it's been, what it's accomplishing now, my mission is to be, to spread its influence, I call it the parables, which it kind of means like a story, like with a hidden message or morals. I always tell people, like, what is the parables? And I tell them, hey, you know what? I see it as a movement. It's a vessel. I see it as a vessel for positive influence and positive energy. Anything that people can take away from the conversations I have with people like you, if you could apply, if you could take away something from it, then I'm doing a good job. You know what I mean? And it's just been a wild ride since. Like I said, I've been having some crazy guests. I got like this whole month's insane, my schedule, and I love it. Like, and again, going back to that hustler mentality, I knew going in here, because you could monetize with podcasts, you can, but right now I'm trying to provide value. You know what I mean? I feel like providing that value first, all that other stuff will come later. The universe will, if it comes, it comes. That's cool. But this is one of the things, like, this might sound so cliche, but this is the one thing, like, I could do for free. You know what I mean? I don't need to get paid for it, because I really enjoy sitting down with other people, amazing people, and just chatting.
It's like we talked about it. It's kind of like a mastermind. It's like sitting down here, listening to people's story, listening to and taking away from it. Every time I'm here, I'm looking for nuggets that I can learn. Yeah. So this is not only a classroom session, a mastermind, but it's also like therapy for me. So we figure out, wow, what has he done or what has she done, and how can I apply that to my life? Yeah. So right now, you still have your nursing career, and you have the parables. What's next for you? What do you want to take this movement? I know you want to, you're all about making an impact. Yeah. What do you see yourself, in the next 2 years, 5 years, 10 years? What does Ejay Cruz want to do with his life and the impact that he wants to make in this world?
Absolutely. So my goal is to really transition out of the field. As you guys could tell, the nursing career, I really want to transition out because I want to put my 110% efforts into making an impact. And that's, my goals, because as you know, my podcast is a one-man team, and it's, as you saw, it's in one of my guest rooms. I converted one of my guest rooms into a podcast studio.
And for those of you who are listening, a lot of us always think about, oh my God, well, I gotta have this equipment and I have to have that equipment. And I need exactly this, and I don't have the room for it. You can start anything. Don't start an excuse, whether it's, starting an exercise program, whether it's our savings program, whether it's that podcast, whether it's that reading book. Just take fucking action. Yeah. You know what I mean? Just do it. Just stop, procrastinating, stop putting it off, man. Your stuff looks amazing. Like I said, in 36 countries and in top 100, all he did was take action. He doesn't know anything about cameras or audio engineering, all that kind of stuff. But he made it happen. So if you're listening to this, there's no perfect time. Today is the day. Go out there, whatever you've been procrastinating, putting off, do that shit right now.
Yeah, please. And you know what? If it's podcast, like I want to share what the podcast has done for me. Not only has it, I've been able to do what I love to do, like talk with amazing people and spread that impact and that influence. But it's like exactly what you said. It's taught me to be resourceful. Like I always get this uneasy feeling when people come over to my studio, because I don't know if they're expecting like a full blown like a CBS studio, but when they come, everyone's always impressed, and it just surprises me, because I guess like what I'm trying to say is
I was impressed how clean your house was.
Oh, thank you. And
I came in, it was like spotless.
You know what? It's allowed, the podcast platform has allowed me to be resourceful. Is what I'm trying to say, right?
100%.
Just you don't have to. Sometimes we overthink things as human beings, But in reality is use what you got and just keep going. Like I cringe when, because my first episode, right, is the most listened to because obviously people want to start from the beginning. I cringe because I always like hear myself, that lack of confidence a little bit. Like, I'm just starting out, navigating the conversation. You just hear it in my tone.
Here's the thing. You only know that.
Yeah.
Right? Because it was your first podcast and you knew this and that. Let me tell you when I did my first bodybuilder show, and you have to do a routine at night, and my coach said, if you mess up a part of your routine, keep going. Nobody knows your routine, right? I like that. Nobody knows your routine.
Yeah,
keep going. You know what I mean? So just because you're your worst critic, and you got so much better. That was your first one. Your ahs and ums and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah,
you know that, but I bet you nobody else notices it.
Yeah, you know what? That's that 1%er mentality.
Yeah.
We want to become better always, and we want to hold ourselves to high standards.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
But to answer your question again, my goal is to get my own office space and have my own studio where I could bring people there. And my goal is to transition out of nursing because again, I want to impact the world in a wider scale. Instead of just my community. I want to get into to some speaking, and really, like I said, I'm a very high energetic person. Yeah. Like, if I'm into something, I will put my heart and soul into it. So, I don't have it clearly defined yet. Whether it's in opening up a gym, maybe like open up a food concept, whatever it may be, apparel, whatever it is, right? I want to put my energy into that.
Wait a second. You said apparel. Yeah, apparel coming out pretty soon, aren't you?
I was working on it, Sam, but like I said, like my goals, like they change like all the time because I'm seeing now what this podcast has done for me, and I'm starting to see how it's serving me, and because of the voice aspect of this being, I call it a megaphone, and now I'm seeing like, wow, if I could do this, I can only imagine the impact I could do when I become a speaker.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Writing a book, things like being that personal development space. Because again, my goal, Sam, like we spoke about this. When you're in a corporate job or you're in a very good job like I was, society tells us, Sam, that we need to stay there.
So glad you brought that up.
We need to stay there, retire when you're 60, 65, get your pension, get your Social Security, get the 401k. And when I tell people, Sam, like my goal is to exit out of my employer within the next 5-7 years, whatever it may be, they think I'm freaking crazy.
I mean, look, you're crazy for them because they don't know any better.
Yeah.
Our parents, they don't know any better. They were born in the industrial age.
Yeah.
In the industrial age where you go to college, you get a degree, you work for a good company, and you retire. Like you said, that was the thing. For me, my mom said you can only be 3 things in life. To be successful: doctor, lawyer, engineer. And if you're not, if you're not one of those, you're a loser. And I prefer you become a doctor. So I went and got my doctorate degree for her. Literally didn't practice a day, give her a diploma, go back to your friends that your son is a doctor, now we'll open up a gym.
Yeah.
And,
It's the opposite.
And you're kind of doing the same thing. You know what I mean? It's you kind of, so it's not that, they just don't know any better. And just like we talked about it, off camera, once somebody does it, pave a new way.
Yeah.
Look at it like this. It's like, I don't know if you ever seen snow. You're in Southern California. I'm sure you've been to Big Bear. Yeah. If you've seen, fresh snow, right? And then you see, all of a sudden the road. But then if there's a pathway here, nobody's ever gone before, and you start going the pathway, and then everybody says, hey, there is a different path. Because you are the first one actually going. You see those steps. I'm like, oh, actually, I can actually go there. But before, nobody saw it, right? So you are making the first path in that space. They're like, look, man, I don't have to do what you guys do. Yeah. There is a better world out there. There's a different world, not better world. There's a different world out there if you want it. People are so afraid to giving up a 6-figure career, and not be fulfilled. And here's what you don't want. And that's what I love about you. Yeah. Because you realize that in the very beginning, and you're doing all the groundwork for the exit, where you could have been like, you know what, that's just what I'm going to do. And then next thing you know, you're 50, 60, 60 years old, and you don't feel fulfilled inside, and you just feel like you died, your spirit died because you didn't do, even though you had a great financially life, you had everything that you wanted, but inside you were dead because you didn't do what you really wanted to do in life.
Yeah. I want people to see me as the prime example. Like, again, you don't have to be stuck in that corporate job and be miserable. Yeah. I call it spiritual suicide, Sam.
It is. It really is. I mean, I call it jail.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I call it, this is what I always tell people. I said, we all come to America. Mm-hmm. Your parents came from Philippines. I came from Iran, right? Mm-hmm. To have freedom. Yeah. Right? Land of the free, home of the brave. Want the freedom, right? Yeah. But are we really free if every day you get up, you drive in an hour in traffic to a job that you hate, to work with people that you don't really like, and then coming back? Yeah. You know what I mean? Are you really free? I call that jail. Yeah. You know what I mean? And you call it spiritual suicide. It's the same thing. Because you just literally are locked up in a jail. You're not free. Yeah. Free is doing what you want, when you want, with whom you want, on your terms. Yeah. And that's what entrepreneurship brings, and that's what you want to do, not only as a monetary wise, but you want to actually do it because you want to feel fulfilled. Yeah, yeah. And again, I don't take away anything from my nursing career because it's made me who I am, right? Absolutely. And I'm so thankful that my mom bribed me because, listen, I think some people, don't get me wrong, go for that ultimate, whatever makes you happy type of thing, but you need to have a plan, man. Like me, I'm so thankful my mom did that because I have something to go back to. If just for any reason, which it's not going to happen, but just for any reason, my podcast is not successful or whatever I get into, I have a backup plan. And I think sometimes people overlook that. I think you have to have a plan of attack. You know what I mean? So I don't take away anything from that, but you definitely have to have a plan. And that's my goal. I want to transition out of there. I want to be that prime example. Like, hey, you don't have to commit spiritual suicide and be stuck. You could pursue your passions. You could start making better choices to put yourself in a better position to win. So how, curious, because I met your wife, what a beautiful lady. Thank you. How, when you first approached her with your plan of podcast and maybe exiting nursing and all that kind of stuff, tell me how that goes. Because the reason I say that is because most women, they're protectors. Yeah. Right? We're hunters. As men, we're hunters. We go out there, we hunt. Sometimes we go hunt big, and sometimes we just come up empty-handed. Some days, that's how it is. And they're there to protect what we have, right? So naturally, they're like, I don't know if that's a good idea. That's what I would say. But what did she say? You know what? In the beginning, I know she supports you now fully and all that. But in the beginning, what happened? You know what? It's funny because in the self-development space, there's always the topic of how do you get your support systems or your, the people who love you to support you. I'm having trouble with so-and-so supporting my dreams, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you know what, Sam, overall, I don't have that problem. My wife has been so supportive. God bless her. She sees it. She knows I'm a very passionate, driven guy. And, she knows that. And you know what, to answer your question, she loved it. She actually helped me with the whole the layout of it. Damn, you're lucky, man. Yeah, you're lucky. I mean, most other women, if their husband, approach them, hey, babe, check this out. I want to do this podcast. It's not going to really make me a lot of money, and but then I have a 6-figure job right now. Yeah, and I kind of want to exit that and really go after my dreams and stuff. That it would not go well. Yeah, it would not go well. You know what I mean? So you're blessed that way. But let's just say for people who don't have the support, what would you suggest? You know what? I think you have to. It's all about perception. I'm huge on perspective. I think you have to sit down with your significant other or whoever it is and just let them know how you're feeling. You know what I mean? Let them know. Like for me, I think it was easy because I still had my nursing career to fall back on. It's not like I just quit and then now we're gonna be evicted from our house. You know what I mean? It was more of. But for people out there that struggle with it, I think it's just really just sitting down with your significant other, whoever it is, and just letting them know, hey, presenting them with a plan. Because if you go in there just saying, hey, I want to do this, and I'll figure it out. It makes that uneasy, right? I think a lot of people, for people like us, we embrace uncertainty. I've learned that, Sam. Before, the future, I used to be so scared of the uncertain future. What's going to happen?
But now I embrace it.
Oh yeah.
But you know, for people who are just starting out, I think you have to sit down with your significant other to answer your question and just tell them your plan. Say, you know, tell them how you're feeling and then set up a plan that's reasonable. Like, you know what I mean? And sometimes you have to go above and beyond and make the most craziest dreams and vision out there. But, you know, Ed Milet says, like, sometimes you don't have to, you know, when you sell, you have to make them believe in your dream. Yeah. You know what I mean? And sometimes, like, again, I didn't have that problem, but I really think you have to sit down with your significant other, whoever it is, let them know how you're feeling and tell them your plan. And then I think once they start to see, like, you know, your passion for it and how it could benefit you guys in the long run, right? Turn your passion into a career, then I think you could go forward with it. Yeah. But again, like, I'm just so thankful I don't have that problem, because I can only imagine coming home, like, you're already committing spiritual suicide at your corporate job, and then you come home, you're trying to work on your side hustle, whatever it may be, and you have to deal with that. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's just, I'm very blessed. Shout out to my wife. Thank you so much for supporting me.
She's a sweetheart, man. All right, so I got some slides for you, man. I had my guys, you know, go back and some, you know, get some pictures and stuff like that, man. We always do it at the end of the show. You know,
do you? Okay.
At the end of the show. So tell me about this picture right here that we have. What is this?
Dude,
when is this?
You know what? I think this is my first photo shoot, man. This is my first photo shoot I did with a photographer that I reached out to, man.
How old were you here?
I think this was maybe 2 years ago, a year ago. Yeah, not too long ago.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Tell me about this one.
All right, the happiest day of my life, man. There's 2 days I describe the happiest days of my life. One was when I graduated nursing school, because I was finally done with it. And then, of course, when I got married. As you could tell, again, I'm a very high energy guy. I'm the guy that says, woo, like, you know, I'm always yelling. And yeah, we just got married and we're walking down the aisle. And I'm just, as you can see with my face, I'm very happy.
So at one time you were 270. Don't tell me that you closed her at 270 pounds.
Oh, she probably, no.
Okay. I was like, wait a second, man. I'm like, you know, okay. Well, you still closed her, so I still, you're still a great salesman, man, because she's beautiful.
Yeah, thank you.
She's beautiful. What a beautiful wedding. What a beautiful family.
Oh, man.
The studio, baby. Look.
This is the day that I officially announced it on social media, that this is what I was doing. And it's just crazy because, Sam, like again, if you guys look at this room was a guest room with stained carpet. And we completely transformed it. Again, with my podcast, I wanted to make it different. I wanted it very intimate, very laid back, chill. Like, I like to call my podcast episodes conversations, not interviews. Yeah. And when I got that canvas, because one of the things my podcast is known for, they signed the infamous canvas, which your signature is up there, of course. And, you know, when I got that canvas, that's when it really hit me, like, oh, damn, this is for real. And then, of course, when you announce it, you know, some people say, more work, less announcements. My thing is more work, more announcements, and, you know, back and forth.
Because now you're into it. Now you're announcing. You can't
back out. You got to hold yourself accountable.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You can't back out.
Exactly.
Like, I always tell, man, if you say, if you want to get in shape, tell the whole world how much you want to lose, and now everybody's going to hold you. Now you have 50 people holding you accountable. Hey, what'd you do? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. That's great.
Also at my wedding, the other woman in my life, my mom, she's actually here. She's because they retired. My parents retired from the Philippines. They just came back. They come back and forth, but definitely she's just the most amazing woman. You know, she's the one that she's the driver that got me the Honda Prelude, and you know, she's always giving. She's always about her kids, and man, I can't thank that woman enough.
Does she have a Louis Vuitton bag?
She has a lot of bags that she does not use.
Okay, so because you know what Joe Coy say, right? Joe Coy say, you know, the Filipino women, all nurses, all have a Louis Vuitton bag. Yeah. So that's
I think she does.
I know she does.
Yeah. I think she does. Yeah.
I know she does. Also, man, bro, what an amazing story of you just hustling all your life. You know, getting bribed. You know, going to nursing school.
Yeah.
Struggling, but still following through, being persistent, you know, getting a degree, right? And then realizing that even though I'm making all this money, I have a comfortable life, I have everything that I want, but I want to do more.
Yeah, I want more.
I want more. This is not what I want. I don't want to get up, go to work, even though I make great money, get up, go to work, grow old, have, have a 401k, and this is it for me. You wanted more out of life.
Yeah.
And this is something that I think happened very early in life because you weren't just happy, like you said, you're always moving, you're always hustling, So my congratulations to you for getting uncomfortable, to go into uncharted territory, not sitting on the couch and say, hey man, this is good. I have a great career. I have a great car. I have sports cars. I bought your first house at 24. I have a great life. I can just sit here, retire, and just cruise. But you don't want to cruise. You want to accelerate. You want to progress.
Yes.
And you are the 1%er because you want to progress. And I always tell people, a definition of a 1%er is somebody who doesn't stand still. They want to progress in all areas of life. And to me, a 1%er, they want to progress in faith, family, fitness, finance, and fun. And once you get those, 5 F's right, then the last F is the fulfillment that we all want. Because at the end of the day, when you are in your deathbed, none thing matters. You want to see, hey man, what impact have I made in this world?
Yeah.
Whose life have I changed? And you're on your path to doing that, man. Congratulations again. So for people who don't know you, how can they find out about your podcast? How can they find out more about you?
Sure. So you can reach me on social media. It's at it's Ejay Cruz, ITSEJAYCRUZ. The podcast, I appreciate you guys, anyone who's listened. If you do get the chance, I'm 110% confident. If you just listen to one episode, you will get something out of it.
I'm telling you, this is not a plug. It's the real thing. I did your podcast. It was amazing. You were prepared some of the best questions that I've been asked. And I'll second that.
Thank you. Yeah, so you could find that. It's called The Parables. It's on all platforms, all podcast platforms, and it's on YouTube because again, it's a video cast. I just got into iHeartRadio, and I think the only thing I'm not in is Pandora, which I'm coming for you, by the way, because you know me, And I appreciate it. Just the podcast has been such a great platform. If there's anybody out there who's looking for help with the podcast too, I'll be glad to help you for free.
Gosh, look at that, man.
It's just again,
what a giver.
It's just provided so much for me, and I want to thank you too because not only were you a guest on my podcast, which I'm so thankful for, and it's connected us since, but also as a result of connecting with you, I've been able to get some of amazing guests through you too, and I appreciate you just being so open. You are by far one of the most open, giving, welcoming people I've ever met, and
I appreciate that.
And it's just crazy. I feel I don't want to say my world turned upside down when I met you, but you just opened up my eyes to lots of different things. And I don't have everything all figured out. I'm still trying to execute that plan that transitions me out to my ultimate goal. But everyone's story is different. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I just want to go back real quick to what you said about you don't want to live full of regret when you're on your deathbed. As a registered nurse, I got to tell you, a lot of people have passed on my watch. You know what I mean? And taking care of them, sometimes these patients, I was the last person they saw, Sam. I'm talking the only person too. They didn't have no friends, no family to be there when they passed.
Gosh.
And I got to tell you, the last few hours when I was talking to them, the last shift that I have taking care of them, it was always about regret. I wish I did this, EJ. I wish I did this. I wish I had a better relationship with so-and-so. I wish I did that. But why did I should have did this when I was younger. And that opened up my eyes too. I don't want to live that life. You know what I mean? Everybody has a different story. Again, just, have a plan and just pursue your passions, man. It's more attainable.
Coming from a registered nurse, that sees people in their deathbed pretty frequently, that's profound, man.
Yeah.
That's profound. If you heard it before, but you see it all the time. So if you're out there, you're procrastinating, you say, maybe I should do this, maybe I should better this relationship right now, maybe I should need to talk to this, maybe I should start this. Look, do that now. You don't live forever. Yes. This is a fact. You start here, you're born here, and you die sometime here, right? Nobody escapes death. Nobody. So you want to make sure you're here, make as much impact, live your life by design. Go out there and be the best that you could be.
Yes.
So you're not that person at the, when you have last few hours left, you say, you know what? I've did everything I'm supposed to do. I'm ready to go see you, God. I don't need any more hour. I'm ready. God, I'm ready for you. So this way, you don't go back in time. Oh, maybe I should have done this. I should have did this. I should have did this. You already done everything, and you're ready to meet your Creator. So thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you, my man.
I appreciate
Ejay.
you, man.
And thank you guys for listening to this podcast. Again, the 1% podcast is found in all the platforms. And don't forget to give us a review, share it with your friends. We really appreciate you being here. God bless you. Be a 1%er.